Well, yesterday was an interesting day spiritually. I mean, I don't mean entirely enjoyable. I went to an Indian function that's held in a church hall, actually, raising money for the community. And it's because an Indian lady I met, you could say by chance if you're speaking casually, by the authority of God if you're thinking spiritually. A couple of days before, or a day before, and a couple of days. She said, come, so I came, and I had quite a bit of Indian food there. Nothing spectacularly invasive, spicy or something, but sort of stuff I don't normally eat, coconut something or other, and dosa is it called? Yeah, and some potato stuff, and they had a vegan pie that was a commercial thing actually, but I recognised it. But I had one of those too. So I spent some money for a charity, deliberately, and then while I was there meeting, got a call from my ex who wanted me to sign something, a visa, so she could take Aria to India for a holiday soon, in 2 weeks' time. And some forms I'd already signed. It was a bit irksome, but so I went to the appointed rendezvous because, whatever, she said it was urgent and had to make the post shop by 1 o'clock, and they were going to close then, or so on and so forth. And she was half an hour late to the meeting, so I was just sitting there waiting. And I thought I'd been had again in this ex-wife's permanently almost permanently inharmonious relationship. Because, of course, we share a child. And, okay, it went reasonably well. I was a bit concerned about what was on the form because one or two of the contacts that were mentioned on the form I suspected were not actually valid. One looked like her brother, who I was convinced was still living in India, not in New Zealand, and goes on. But anyway, I signed it. And on reflection, I wasn't too unhappy about this. That was for the best. But I realised whether it was the diet change, the immediate effect of quite different food, or whether it was contact with her and being kept hanging around for half an hour, I realised, would you believe it, my legs felt weak, as if I'd gone through a great difficulty, a bad experience, I think there is a notion, isn't there, that in states of fear you can find your body goes weak, your stomach or your legs and so on. And I thought, well, I've known this before, and that's all right. I mean, yes, it could be something to do with meeting my ex, or it could be something to do with the diet change. Anyway, it's a Saturday as it was, and I was able to go home, have some fruit juice, and I just laid back in my lounger armchair and probably dozed, probably fell asleep a bit for about the best part of an hour. And afterwards made myself busy and did some breathing exercises and listened to some recordings. And by breathing exercise I mean the triangular breathing, and listen to some of my recordings. And actually I think prepared some of my recordings for YouTube. And then I was back to being flying again. But do you see, I mean, I could look upon this as a spiritual attack. And I think some of my sort of religious type people would see it as that. And I'm thinking it could be in a way. But I don't know. I live in a world of uncertainty, you know. It could just be the diet. It could just be the inharmony of meeting my ex again. I don't know. There was a very major redeeming part of it. My daughter came with her to the pickup, so to speak, you know, the meeting, brief meeting in the street. And I realized she was relating to me very knowingly and well. Just a look in her eyes and her way of relating. Bless her. And that redeeming point in the meeting was probably everything to me, actually, you know. But still the meeting had a bad effect. But dealt with it within a few hours, didn't we? And by the time the evening was into it, all things were okay again. I'm back on form. I did Paramancer exercises, what were they called? Energization exercises. And that really meant I was on top again. Things were going well. What can I draw from this experience? That these things do happen. You can call them spiritual attacks. You can call them difficulties, the normal problems of living in the transitory, uncertain world that we're in. But be armed. Know how to minimize their effect. And indeed, more than that, make them a blessing. I mean, I'm making it a blessing now, aren't I? Because I'm relating to you what can happen and what I found was best to do in the circumstances. I, changed the diet dramatically in the afternoon. Nothing but fruit juice. I had mandarin juice first, and then some little time later I had some citrus grapes. And I rested, and obviously I talked to God about it, you know. Remind myself of He's an all-powerful God and loves me. And listen to some of my recordings. Well, in fact, I did something milder to begin with. I simply worked on preparing some of the recordings for YouTube. That lifted me, you see. And then listened to some recordings, and then I'm fine. So, but that was my way. It's not necessarily your way, you understand. Your way might be to sing, or to read scripture, or to get out the house and take a walk and enjoy the sunshine if it's there, you know. It might be to read something like, in my case I could have read John's Gospel, John 17 in particular. I could have read the autobiography by Paramahansa, Autobiography of a Yogi. And that might well have recovered me, but I chose the path that I thought would work, and it did. And you can do likewise. Don't feel defeated by or crushed by circumstance that comes out the blue and seems to affect you, even physically. You can chip away at it. Be encouraged. Be encouraged, love. And you'll find you rise out of the mire, the slough of despond, as Pilgrim's Progress put it. That was an amazing book, in context, you know, for those who are Christian. Pilgrim's Progress is, well, a really old-fashioned book, and read the original if you can. Don't read some modern version. The original, I think, gets you nearer the spirit of things. But whatever. Know your procedure, your emergency kit for dealing with emergencies, spiritual emergencies. Bless you. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.